Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerdy and Proud. As always, I'm your host, Matt, and joining me today are a lot of my friends and fellow guests.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
I'm Marty.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Joe.
And today's topic, we're going to be talking about superpowers. Like, what's our favorite superpower? What are, like, the ones that we want to have? And just everything about superpowers. So, anyone want to start?
I'll start. I think a superpower that I saw that really interested me for a long time was immortality, the idea of immortality. But I think it's something that when you think about it, you know, it's appealing, you know, just the way things are. But in practice, I think a superpower like immortality would actually be something that's a little difficult to deal with.
Eventually, you're going to go insane.
Yeah,
because
you're
you've
very
been
bored.
here.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to hit that point where you do everything.
And you're
like,
just going to be
what's
like, now what?
Yeah.
I know DC has tackled that a couple of times, but one of the biggest ones is Vandal Savage.
Yeah.
He's someone who got immortality when he was in prehistoric times. Like, he was a caveman. A meteorite came down, gave radiation. He's lived up to this time, maybe a little bit to the future. And so he has literally lived throughout time. And that was a big thing. Like, he was a good guy. He was ruler of, Egypt, of Rome, and now he's just a multi-billionaire guy going around being evil because he's seen everything. He's seen the corruption of the world. I thought that was a really big thing. But another thing with immortality that I find is that each person who talks about immortality has it a little differently. You know, you look at Vandal Savage, he just simply can't die. There's this one anime I've seen called Bakano, where people make a deal with the devil, and now they can't die. You know, so there's different types of immortality. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes into that, like, what kind of mentality would you want, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's different sides to it, too. Whether you're using your immortality to escape your own fears. Like, for example, for in Bakano, like, you can make an argument, like, they're doing that to escape their fear of death. Like, a lot of people who gain the power of immortality, a lot of them do it for selfish reasons. Like, they just don't want to die. Like, they're afraid of dying, so that's why they would do it. That's why I would do it, too.
But there's also, but there's also immortality, like in the Elves of Lord of the Rings. You know, they're technically immortal because they can live forever. But if they get a mortal wound, like get their head chopped off, they're gonna die. You know, so immortality is a little finicky too.
I would imagine.
You know?
They're not Deadpool.
So yeah, like I said, it's a little finicky.
Yeah.
One of the superpowers I wanted to do, and this is one that I've never seen anyone come up, to be a Looney Tune. You guys you guys have seen Space Jam, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
You know, how awesome would it be just randomly in the middle of a basketball game, pick out a scooter and walk around? You have literally power over space, time, and you're immortal. I think the side effect of that would be go a little insane because you're a Looney Tune, but I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You could be Bugs Bunny and just do whatever.
Don't they start off insane to begin with, too?
You know,
A lot of their
I think
antics.
they-
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
A lot of their
characters
antics, like, you
literally
really got to be
Yeah.
insane just
But,
to come up with that.
I mean, you look at stuff with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is another example of that.
That was a good
Yeah.
Where it's
one.
like, it'd be so much fun to live in that kind of world, you know? I feel like that'd be a lot of fun.
And it's
popping
interesting.
under your head.
And it's
Listen, I'm just saying, if I rob a bank and I want to escape, I can just take literally a black hole and
That
then
would
fall
be
through.
awesome.
Come on, come on.
When I was a kid, oh my god, my mom got so mad at me because I had a can of black paint and I would just paint on the floor. Granted, I was a little kid, so you gotta forgive me, gotta keep that in mind. So I would paint on the floor and the walls, and like I would just spend time
Bash your
just
head.
like I literally dove into it one time. I convinced my friend, I'm like, hey, this really works. You should try it.
No.
Oh my
And
God.
honestly, like my door, like it opens inward. So like when I pull it up, I can just like let him run through it, and that's what I did. But I didn't expect him to like keep running past it because my bedroom leads to the stairs, and so he.
Oh
He, he just ran off, and thank God we had a couch down there. So like he just ran off and just landed on the couch and was like, "That was awesome. Let's do it again." I'm like, "No, no!" My mom scolded me for a solid week after that.
Yeah, that was
Only a week. Wow.
that was
Only a week.
that was a
We
month
didn't
ago,
die,
right?
so-
That was a month ago, right?
Yeah. I rewatched You Framed Roger Rabbit, and I bought myself a can of paint, and I was like, "What are you doing?" "I'm painting, Mom."
It's all fun and games till you're painting black holes in 20.
I'm not even 20 yet, so
Yeah. I think another one, you were talking about control over things, like to have control over elements and stuff like that, like hydrokinesis, to have control over like the water and stuff like that. Especially like people have fear of death, that's why they want to be immortal. I have an intense fear of water in the ocean and stuff like that. So
Same.
to have like control
Yeah, I
over
hate
that.
It's funny because we once came from the water.
I know.
I'm
Yeah.
a lifeguard, so I have no fear of the water.
I'm not afraid of like water. It's the ocean. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Well,
And
you
maybe
don't
having
like
the
water?
power to control it would help.
So you
but
don't want to
It's
be a
cold
water
and I don't like it.
No, I
If it's
don't
a
wanna be a
warm water,
waterbender.
I'm happy. But once I have to touch cold water, I want to cry.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about. I think it's like the fact that it's completely unpredictable. It's fluid and stuff like that. So to sort of get some control over that, because that's what I feel like. I feel like superpowers are trying to get control over things that we don't have control over. So I think something like having control of the ocean and stuff would probably be more comforting to me because you don't have
I want
control
to
over
talk
it.
lack of control. Be fire. You know,
Yeah,
fire is
fire.
a huge one where you see it all the time. Like they lose control of their fire abilities and they kill the people they love. You know?
Same with electricity, because electricity is like so impulsive, so it can just spark off at any time. That's like you mentioned, like water telekinesis, fire, and like electric. But like here's the thing: I've never seen a character who has control over all the elements.
The Avatar.
Wouldn't
but-
Avatar be? Wouldn't Avatar
I
be?
meant like besides.
Are we
well,
talking periodic table right now?
oh my god,
There's no neon superheroes.
they're not going into that.
Mr. Manhattan, who is literally neon.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. But no, I've never seen like all of the elements besides the Avatar, who controls fire, water, electricity,
And
light, darkness,
Captain
wind.
Wind. Yeah.
Captain Planet. Controls all the elements.
That's true, but he doesn't do it in a cool manner.
Not to you.
He's very cool.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
saves the planet.
I mean, you see, like, it's also losing control over it. Like, in Greek times, like Hercules, he had incredible strength, but that was part of his downfall and stuff like that. Not being able to control it. So I think that's something interesting too. Like these superheroes and stuff, they have incredible power, but they also have
Incredible weakness.
incredible flaws too. Are pretty.
Same with Achilles.
Yeah, Achilles. His pride and stuff like that. I mean, you have, and those are very connected to modern day superheroes, stuff like that. You see a lot of superheroes that have a lot of power, like Superman. He has kryptonite and stuff like that. So there's a lot of downfalls when it comes to having great strength like that. There's a balance in that. It's pretty interesting.
It's a very severe balance too. Like it's one extreme or the other. You got super strength, but you also got something so tiny, like for Superman, kryptonite, so tiny and so simple that can take him down.
Yeah, and people normally, we sort of like dwell in the middle, but superheroes are on extreme sides. I think that's the most unique
There's no
thing.
like happy medium.
There
for
is
them
no
because
medium.
like this can take you out, but you have this as a benefit.
Exactly.
So it's like you can do all this, you just can't touch that kryptonite.
Can't
touch that
this rock.
You're gonna die.
Exactly.
Is this kryptonite? No, that's rock candy. Sir. Be like, but that is kryptonite.
Yeah,
Good luck with that.
absolutely.
I think another superpower that I would love to have is the Green Lantern ring. The Green Lantern ring, because it's fully on willpower, and I'm a very stubborn person, and I'm very imaginative. So I feel like with that kind of power, you could really do anything you want to. You know, you can create anything with this ring. I don't know if you guys have ever read Into Green Lantern.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, he can literally make whatever he wants with this ring. You know, it's limited by your imagination and by your willpower. And so I feel like a person like Batman who would have the ring would be unstoppable because his willpower is unstoppable.
Another thing that I find a lot of people, when you ask them about what superpowers they'd want to have, telepathy is something that people would really want because you want to be in other people's heads and think about what they think about. But there's a lot of, I feel like
those
There's
are
so
just
many
for-
negatives for that.
There really
So
is.
many.
In theory, it's great, but practice, it would be horrible. You know,
I'd
if you're
go
sitting
insane.
down. Yeah.
Especially in the beginning when you're first getting powers, like you have no control over that, so you're probably in everybody's head at once and you're losing your
So
mind.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you're
Stop.
probably hearing things that you don't ever want to
Yeah.
hear. People are saying things about you, and you're like, I never wanted to hear that.
You're
I
like,
didn't need to
well,
hear
I
that.
got the superpower, but my self-esteem's now down the drain.
All my friends.
Exactly.
it'd be like the intro to Bruce Almighty when he first starts hearing people's
Yeah.
prayers. I mean, that would make you go,
yes to everything.
yes. And also,
Just yes.
I mean, if you think about the thoughts you have personally, would you want,
Someone else hearing that.
and would you want to hear other people's?
Also, could you see images? Because there are some images I don't want to see.
That's another thing. I mean, if you're able to see
Like
people's
mental
mental,
I
images?
think that's like if you develop it further enough.
I
Like
would
that's
not
how
want
it
to.
would
Yeah,
progress.
I feel like that's how it. That's like level 2.
yeah.
You've evolved.
Level 1 is
Pokemon,
like
you
every thought's just coming at you at once. But as soon as you get control, you can just specialize it, and then if you want, you can dig into it more.
Go from abracadabra.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I think honing in on superpowers is a unique thing because that whole process is pretty unique where you have to like sort of harness your power.
You're so out of control at first.
It's
and
chaotic.
It's like how do you control the uncontrollable, the thing that has just appeared, or
Yeah.
you took something and now it's
The movie
in you.
is that
You
great.
go into the mountains and train.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how you do it.
You go
Everyone
away.
does it.
Everybody.
You
It
find
works.
the Jedi
Go
temple.
into a random
and-
valley.
Work for Goku.
Yeah. A movie that was pretty good was Chronicle. I don't know if you guys saw that,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
the kids
I saw that.
get telekinesis. That's where you can move things with your mind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they hone it like a muscle, and they make it stronger and stronger to the point where they can just do, amazing things with it.
Yeah.
But that's one power I kind of wish I had was telekinesis, because I'm one of the laziest people I know. And to be able to look at a remote that's 5 feet from me and not get up and get it would be fantastic.
Absolutely. And I think something that's sort of an anti-superhero, I mean, the recent Deadpool movie that came out, the unique thing about that is, I mean, you have a unique storyline with that, but it's not your classic, your
Not at all.
classic superhero film. But I think it was very unique, because I think having wit is probably,
Yeah.
one of the funnier,
Yeah.
funniest superpowers to have.
What
More-
is superpower? Because
I don't know if it is.
For some people, it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some people that do not know how to do it and then
Yeah, I think-
start to become witty, it's
Right.
like, where did that come from?
I mean, obviously he has the physical superpowers
Yeah.
Right.
of that he, his body, continues to regenerate and stuff like that, which are
However,
interesting.
All of his powers aren't really his. The only real power he has is breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
That's,
Yes.
that's
insanity.
his, own,
That's so
that's his
true.
own original power, though. Everything else he got from other mutants.
Well, they don't explain that in the movie very well. If you went to go see Deadpool, they explain it that in the movie they string your body so much that you develop mutant powers. So technically, in the movie, it is his power. But in the comic books and the other cartoons, what happens is that the same project that Wolverine went into, where they put the animated
Exactly.
body,
Yep.
they took a bunch of other superpowers, like in that horrible movie X-Men Origins. That's basically what happens to him, except they do it in a good way.
And
Well,
they don't
that's-
sew
and
his
they-
mouth shut.
Exactly. And
Well, that's
so-
the thing in that movie where they saw his mouth. I mean, that's just. I mean, his whole persona comes from his mouth. I mean,
Yeah.
and I
He's
mean,
called
he's the merc with the mouth.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's also that scene in the movie in Deadpool where he's talking about things that they regret, and he picks up the action figure
Yeah.
from that
Yeah.
X-Men Origins about how they would regret that.
I
was
love
really
those
cool.
Easter eggs. How
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
Be like this movie over here, or
Yeah.
like how just don't make it green or animate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Some shots at Green Lantern.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
Deadpool is like the epitome of what would happen if you took a bunch of different superpowers and jammed it in one person. He goes insane. That's
Yeah.
what happened. The reason he breaks the fourth wall, he used to be a sane person before. He was actually in the special ops and whatnot. But until they took all this power and like forced it in him, he went insane. So in the comic books, he actually has 3 people in his head. It's him and then 2 other people, and the entire time he's talking to each other. So many times where it's hilarious. He talking to himself, and people goes like, "Who are you talking to?" And he goes, "Don't worry about it. I'm talking to myself." You don't hear him, But it's great because he has teleportation. He has Cyclops' laser eyes. He has regenerative abilities. It's absolutely fantastic, to show what happens if you take all these amazing powers and jam into a person.
Yeah, put it into one individual person who was pretty ordinary
Right.
beforehand.
Yeah.
I mean, besides his
I don't know,
special
he was
training.
special.
Yeah.
law.
Well, special
Special
training
ops
ability, yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
he had like the ability to. He had like enhanced reflexes, I think it was.
yeah, but that was at his own accord.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
that's the most unique thing about it. And
It's the only superpower we can obtain, really.
yeah, exactly.
Kind of depressing.
Yeah, I mean, another one that I've spoken to a lot of people about is the power of flight. A lot of people seem to be, wanting to fly, and that's one for me. Unless you guys can come up with something that I don't feel like has a whole bunch of downfalls.
I don't know, Joe. If you're flying in the sky,
No.
like you're gonna
Something-
eventually, your lungs are gonna have to adapt.
Yeah.
It's cold up
If
there.
you
I'm
go
not gonna
really
lie.
high up, you're gonna be like going outside, summer day, winter jacket. I'll see you there.
Exactly.
And you're gonna
Literally
come
that.
down. Like if you fly too high, too, like you could get out of the atmosphere. And,
Yeah.
like you're in space and you're dead
And
now.
That's why I honestly think instead of flying, I'd rather have teleportation.
Yes.
Because you can go
Yes.
from one place to another without having to get up in the air and
However,
fly.
there are downfalls to that because where is your teleportation? How does that work though?
Yeah.
Do you just imagine a place and boom, you're there? What if a person like you? I would feel like for teleportation, you really have to see where you want to teleport
Right.
Yeah.
in order for you not to get like, well, there wasn't a wall
Yeah.
here, but now there is, and I'm cut in half.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
that's the thing I was wondering if you teleport to China and you end up inside a person, does the
Yeah.
person explode
They're
or do
gonna
you
explode.
merge
Oh
together?
my god! I never thought of it like that. I was
Marty.
thinking more like I watch Heroes and like in the recent like reboot of it, Tommy has the ability to like teleport and time travel and stuff. Spoiler, but
Spoiler alert.
it's not. It's in the
Sorry,
first
folks.
episode. It's fine.
There you go.
But and like he just like touches himself and that's how he transforms and he thinks of the place he's going. It's always a place or thing. I just always thought it was like that. It was like you think of where you want to go. I never thought of the whole entering a
that's the
person
thing
thing.
with
That was a little
Yes.
different, but
That's like the downfall of the
Yeah.
teleportation. Like if it worked like that, it would be great. Because I write some comics in my spare time, so like I gave a character the power of teleportation. However, I limited him because they're supposed to be like the B-listers, not supposed to be like grade A superheroes.
Right.
So he can only teleport about 20 to 30 feet. He-
so it's in a
Nightcrawler.
radius, like a certain
so, yeah, he
radius.
has a certain
Okay,
radius.
that's cool.
So he's gonna be safe. And what it does is like when he teleports, it pushes everything away from him from the spot that he's aiming for, everything that was in that area gets
Moves.
pushed away.
Okay.
So it's
Kinda
like a
like Jumper.
wave.
Room
It's-
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever seen Jumper?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's
something
Jumper.
like that. They make a rift in the air and they come through that. So
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
bad happens like that. But that's another thing with superpowers in general is that each superpower, depending on who makes it, is very different. You know, you have someone like Hero from Heroes who
Yeah.
can think where he's going and he doesn't. Teleport there, he just appears there because
Yeah.
he has control over space and time.
Time, yeah.
But then there's also people like Nightcrawler who, in a
Tele-
poof of air, he can teleport places. But like your character, he can only go certain, space, and he's limited to places that he already knows of. So he needs a picture, like in Jumper, he needs to know where he's going before he can go. They can't just think Rome, and he's in Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
they need a specific location. to go
Exactly.
to,
They
yeah.
need something in their mind to visualize where they're going
Yeah.
to go.
And with Nightcrawler, he actually, when he teleports, he goes through another dimension.
Right.
Like, he doesn't just, he's not here, there. He actually travels.
It's a whole other power entirely.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he
That's a whole
goes,
nother
travels through another dimension and then comes straight out.
Michelle, what's the power that you want to have?
Shape-shifting.
That'd be cool. But that's another one that
Here's the thing.
That's what I'm not so sure about. I
Have
don't
you
know.
ever seen Fullmetal Alchemist? One of the characters can shapeshift, but he shapeshifted so many times he forgot what his real form looked like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
That's,
need
that's
a
the
picture.
problem with it.
There were so many tales like that where shapeshifters free where they are, so they need a picture, or they need some sort of item to remember what they looked like and what
Yeah.
they were like.
So
you
what
know?
type of shapeshifter would you be? Would
Yeah.
you be like all around, like you can shapeshift to animals, objects, and people, or would you
Or just like
do-
into another person, like
I
transform
was
to another person.
thinking about just another person.
Person.
Like, I wasn't going for the animals and the objects. Because, I just shapeshift into my teacher, go in, get the answers for my test, and then never have to deal with it again.
There it is.
That's the abusive power that a lot of superheroes deal with.
I would be a villain. I'd
You're
probably
not a
end up
good
being a
person.
villain.
You're like, that power is, if you're just using it for that, I feel like that power is almost as useless as Joe created a power. I classed
Oh,
before.
God, yeah.
Joe created a power where if he can touch a book, just by touching it, he knows the entirety of it.
That's pretty.
God, I
Actually
need that.
cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It
I
shows you
thought
how
that was pretty lame.
it shows you how much I get out on the weekends.
You go to encyclopedia, you touch
That's
it, you
Joe's
know
fun
everything in
weekend.
the world. You know?
That's true.
Yeah, you
That's
become the
about-
smartest person in the world.
Like super intelligence is something like interesting to think of. Like
Yeah.
how smart. First of all, how smart are you gonna get? How smart do you want to get? And
Yeah.
what are you gonna do with it?
But is that a superpower, super intelligence? Because someone like Lex Luthor, would you count him as like a superpowered being? He's just really, really smart, and so is Batman. They use their smarts to win battles.
I don't feel like that's a superpower. I feel like that's because that's something that everyone can
You could
obtain on
cultivate.
their own.
you could
Right.
work on, yeah.
But
can
there
build
is
that.
there is also capacity to how much a human,
Right, that's
human
true.
can know and
Yeah.
human
Certain
can learn.
people are able to do more than others, and superheroes are able to do more than others.
And the
Einstein
so-
only comes around once every 50 years. Someone like Einstein.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
savants have special abilities when it comes
Exactly.
to learning things and stuff like that. But I
Right.
wouldn't necessarily call it a superpower
Exactly.
because it is cultivated by their own being.
And like he said before, you can technically, if you study enough, if you had infinite amount of time, infinite amount of money, you could technically study enough to know as much as Einstein.
Well, that's the thing.
But
Time.
you wouldn't have the kind of ingenuity in.
You need immortality.
Yeah.
To really work on
Yeah.
that
Or-
Super
superpower.
intelligence, immortality,
or
is
the
connected.
ability to stop time is something
Exactly,
that
yeah.
could be
True.
done.
That'd be one that I kind of would want, but wouldn't want. Power overtime, because
You could
that's
break time.
That's
You- that's a thing that you mess
that's the
with
thing,
that
Is
and
it
that's
stopping
it.
time, or are you trying to go
Manipulate
back in time?
time.
Yeah,
Because
going
if you go
back
back
in
in time,
time.
that's entirely.
That's the
itself.
butterfly
Yeah.
effect.
That's
That's
time
you
itself.
change things.
That's different.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Just bringing up a philosophical. Just time is really just a concept that humans created for themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So, would you if you had the power to stop time, you're really just breaking concepts, like breaking realities that are known to all
So
people.
are all powers, though. I can't just lift up my hand and shoot out fire. That's breaking all forms.
Yeah, it's a
Careful
different.
where you point that, man. 'cause just in case it does happen, I don't want to be
Yeah.
Chris.
Listen, if he burst into flame, that was not me.
I like
It was Michelle.
I like to be
Yep,
rare.
it was me.
We don't tan well.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but I think that that manipulation over time, the ability to stop time, is a lot more. It's a lot more straightforward, I think, because
Yeah.
you're not affecting things that happened
It's
previously.
pausing and playing again.
That was
It's-
another thing
it's-
that I loved in Heroes. I don't know if you watched the entire series.
Yeah.
There was a time where the character named Hero can stop time, but there's also another character who can move at super speeds. And when he stops time and everyone stops around to stop moving, she can still move at normal speeds and even faster because she can move so fast that time
She
seems
moves
to
through
stop.
time.
Break
So
speed of light.
he can go back in time, but she can only stop time. And so do you think that kind of goes into if someone could just stop time, he's just super fast? Because that's really all it is. If you stop time and then go 20 feet, to other people, it might look like a blur.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
breaking the.
Is it more
that
super
fabric.
speed than
Right.
time
I
manipulation?
feel as though if those two powers were to collide, if time stopped, like you have complete control over time, like you can stop it right in its tracks. I feel like if you had super speed, you would really just, I feel like it would either stop you completely in your tracks before you're moving, or it would slow you down so you're on the same level as the guy who just stopped time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like it would just slow you down to be like normal speed.
Because
Yeah.
because they're moving in space and time. So
Exactly.
if he's stopping it, then they would slow down.
they would just
Yeah.
be at the same level.
It looked like they were moving in slow motion, kind of
Yeah.
where everyone else is frozen.
Well, that's what it comes down to, because if you stop time, it's a little different. Though someone with like a speedster would slow down time, I feel like,
Yeah.
to the point where it looks like it stopped, but really, if it stays, for like a year, they'll move eventually.
I mean, that's relativity. I mean,
But with
that's-
Exactly,
that
that
all-
is relativity. So
yeah.
if we're gonna go into quantum theory,
Yeah.
I don't know.
save
how
that
it-
for the next podcast.
I know we're called nerdy and proud, but we're not that nerdy.
I don't think we have the credentials for that one.
Not yet.
I'm working on it.
Unless you guys could bring Albert Einstein back to life. I don't know.
Really.
That's another power.
That's a superpower.
necromancy.
Necromancy.
I
yeah.
don't like that power.
I don't really want that. I'm
That's
good.
a tricky power right
You
there.
could potentially, if you do it well enough, like, hey, great, your friend's back alive.
But here's the
However,
thing, yeah.
you could make zombies that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
That's a
Like,
whole zombie
it's like-
apocalypse thing. That's a whole other
Like
thing.
you come
Whoops,
home
made
and
a
like your
zombie.
dead friend, like you just revive your dead friend, then you just come home and be like, hey, what are you eating? Just like, oh, your neighbor. Like, oh, the neighbor dropped off the stew? Like she said she would?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she dropped by.
Yeah.
She didn't leave though.
But I feel like
But that's like the whole healing thing. Like, do you think like the superpower of like healing, be able to heal people? Like, what do you think about that?
I don't think that's as bad as necromancy. Because what I was thinking,
Healing is a little tricky because like
Yeah.
it depends. Like, what's your degree of healing?
Yeah.
Like how?
Can you
like,
bring someone
if
back
my
from life,
head
or
is
do you
chopped
just?
up, can you heal me? You know?
Yeah.
That's a good question because I feel like if you're past the point of no return, like let's say you're suffering from like a fatal wound,
Yeah.
and you're in the process of dying, and like you can use a heal ability, that wouldn't really affect you at all because that would just kind of that would just heal you back to where you once were.
Yeah, we were
So
before.
that would just be healing.
Could you heal yourself? If you were,
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like that'd be
Power to
obvious.
heal others. Obviously, I'm going to be selfish.
Yeah.
Paper cut. Heal.
Yeah. You'll never-
because like maybe that would be that fatal flaw. You can heal everyone else, but you can't heal yourself.
I mean,
That
yeah,
would be horrible.
yeah, but
Right?
that's interesting.
You would need someone with like a protective force field around
Yeah,
you. Just be
at
like,
all times.
right,
Wear
you
armor.
Wear armor.
Yeah.
Never leave your home. Be
Yeah,
like, they have to come
Kevlar
to
all
me.
the time.
They have to come to me if they
Yeah.
want to be healed.
Make it a check-in medical center.
Yeah, exactly. You have to walk in, sign a
Yeah.
form.
Get paid for it. I'm the best doctor in the world. Surgeon, surgery's over. I didn't even get to sleep yet.
No,
That's okay.
no,
We're all done.
no
No,
anesthesia
you were sleeping.
needed.
You just didn't notice it.
It was so fast. Yeah,
No anesthesia needed.
I'm that good. And so lastly, as we wrap it up, I think I'll end with my power. I really couldn't decide between, because I make a lot of powers for comic books and stuff like that, but the two powers that I created recently that I'm really a fan of is gravity manipulation, where it's like I can control the gravity around myself, and that applies to me and it applies to other people. So I have like full control over it.
Okay. That's
really
So
cool.
let's say like I can make Joe like fly up in the air while crushing Marty to the ground.
Is there like a
Poor Marty.
do you have like a distance you can do it within, or is it you can do it as long as you're focusing on
So
that
long as
person
so
or
long
thing?
as you're focusing,
you could do it to anyone.
You can do it to anyone
Okay.
around
Cool.
you.
But
That's
you
cool.
could really mess things up with that, though.
Yes,
You know,
you
if
can.
if you're pushing someone down, you can just mess with the gravity of the Earth, and everything else goes down with you. That was one of the concepts in the Man of Steel movie, where they were changing the gravity, pushing everything up and down with the
Yeah.
gravity.
It's like,
you know?
does it affect every? Like, would if you were to push Marty down, would it affect us? Would we all go down too?
Yeah.
Or would
Right.
it just be in his
Yeah,
vicinity
if you
and
could-
just him?
I think that comes down to the whole thing we're talking about before, is like being able to control your powers.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
you're able to, like, if you just head off, you go, I don't like you, push down, you're gonna break
And
the
the-
entire
yeah.
building.
Entire city.
Like 10 years from now, you might be able to look at that one guy, maybe the guy next to him.
Yeah.
That's good because that's how because what's it called? It's called 100 hubris, and like these powers are created through their mind. So they think of it, and that's how they develop their powers. And the more they train with it, so like when he first gets his hubris power, he has like basically no control over it. Like he's waking up and he's already levitating, and like other things are like in his room crushed to smithereens.
Yeah.
And so like when he's first honing his power, like he can't really control it, but he learns to focus it. So
Yeah.
it becomes more of a specialized power. And the last one that I want to end off on, because we're running out of our time limit here, was the ability to steal and use other people's powers.
That's
But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's bad because those powers kind of stick with you. Like they don't go away completely. you almost become that person. Like that's kind of what happened to her.
Yeah.
She kind of like lost her mind almost because she kind of was just like losing her
It's
sense
all
of self.
yeah, exactly.
Well, again, that comes down to like different writers. Because look at Kirby. Kirby's someone who can steal other people's powers, but he can just spit it back up.
Kirby's a cannibal.
Yeah.
Kirby,
like
He's not, the only thing he's spitting back up is the bones of the people that
Kirby
he
is a podcast in itself. Because as I found out recently, when he swallows people in, they go to another dimension.
Yeah. He
It's
has a
ridiculous
dimension.
within himself.
yeah, really.
And I
It's a whole
think-
other thing.
Kirby
Do you
gets
think this
deep.
adorable? We're gonna save this for another podcast, but like Kirby's this adorable little guy, but like he's a demon.
He's a
Yeah, he's a
monster.
He's a monster.
He looks so cute, but
You think about it, he's a monster.
I think that power is similar to what Marty said earlier, is that you sort of lose your own identity when you do something like that. The
Yeah.
nature of that power is that you don't have an identity
Yeah.
individually.
You lose yours.
You take other. I mean,
Yeah.
so that could be something that you have to wrestle with a little bit. But it's really interesting, though.
Yeah, the anime Charlotte actually had that, where he could take over other people's bodies. But if he took over people with other powers, he would inadvertently steal that power and have it for life. Like he would use it forever. And so like towards the end of it, he goes on this quest to steal everyone else's powers, so like rid the world of it, because like it's seen as like a negative thing. And so he's trying to like cure everyone. So through like it shows how he changes throughout his quest, and how he like originally like he's doing this all for the girl he loves, and then as he's on his journey, he's starting to remember less and less and less of her, as well as his original self, until eventually like he's cured and rehabilitated.
That tragic sequence too is something that's really interesting. You know, that forgetting that over time and stuff like that's really interesting.
How much time do we have left?
We're actually over our time limit, unfortunately. But
I was gonna say,
if you want to throw something in,
Yeah.
just throw it real fast.
worst superpower, real fast.
Being able to turn into a lamp and never change back.
I think we're good with that. I think that's honestly.
I cannot top that.
I can't top that. That's it.
Actual thing. All right, I read on a website of like worst superpowers, because that's what I love to do. I love creating characters who have just horrible superpowers. One of them is acid tears.
Oh my god.
Another one is 75% levitation.
Only 75%.
Everyone can do that. Everyone stand up on one foot. Boom, you're doing it.
You're 75% levitating.
I can't remember anymore.
That's not a superpower. That's just someone trying to convince
That's
themselves
just
they have a
funny.
superpower.
That's just amusing. That's all the ones I remember. Besides the last one, which is like my favorite, was just like the ability to transform into a lamp. But the problem is you can't change back.
That's
it.
it.
You're a lamp for life.
See, because
who
that
wants
came in
that?
my head as one of the, those like would you rather ones?
Oh.
It's would you rather have the ability to fly, but only fly north? Or be able to teleport, but only teleport 10 feet?
Teleport.
Teleport 10 feet.
Teleport 10 feet.
Nothing's really
You
going
go
on
from
north.
this side
No.
of the wall to the other side of the
just
wall.
saying,
dude.
you
Yeah,
know,
like,
I'm gonna
awkward
go
situation.
with the flying one.
Goodbye.
I'm gonna go with the flying one.
Why is that?
Because when the birds are all flying south, I'm gonna fly north and be like confuse them, be like you're going the wrong way. Everyone
like
turn
the-
back.
You're like the mother bird,
I'm
like
gonna
trying
be
to
like,
convince
I'm
everyone.
gonna wear a bird suit. I'll do it too.
Follow me, my baby ducklings.
They're not ducks. They're birds. They're carrier pigeons. Come on.
You and your carrier pigeon.
You have a problem.
$7 for you.
That is your weird
I think
superpower, carrier
I think you
Yeah,
are.
you
I
become
think,
a carrier
I think you
pigeon.
are missing something about the lamp though that does have a positive to it. I mean, at least you're always turned on. That's all I got
That's
today,
where we end
folks.
it,
Goodbye.
Oh my god.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast talking about superpowers. I hope you will join me in the future for more. This was very entertaining. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you listeners enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.